Yes, ma'am, we can start.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I am Varidhi, and on behalf of Careers 360, I very warmly welcome all of you to this session on studying and living in the UK. So as we all know, it's a large cohort of students that wishes to study abroad after class 12. And to curate an informed plan, there is a lot of information in terms of the promising courses, promising destinations, universities, studying and living costs, and much more that is needed. This is exactly why we have hosted this session for you today. And I am very happy to introduce to you Atrey Guha Thakurta, the Assistant Director Education India with the British Council, who will be talking to you about studying and living in the UK at length. And towards the end of the session, towards the latter half of the session, we will throw open the floor for question answers, and whatever queries you have, you can get them addressed straight by Atrey. Thank you so much, Atrey, for sparing your time and joining us today. And without any further ado, I would request you to take over and speak to the students.
Thank you, Varidhi. And hi, everybody. It's really nice to be here. Thank you, Careers 360, for this opportunity. I work with the British Council. My name is Atrey, and you know, we obviously work very closely with students. We regularly meet students like you, and it's very interesting for us to know why you want to go to the UK and to be able to help you in that journey and in that aspiration. So I'm just going to take you through some quick slides. Let me know once you can see my screen, please. And then, yeah, in the end, you know, feel free to ask me some questions. Last slide, I'm going to put it at the top. Hopefully be on slide share now. I hope this is okay and you can see me. I can't see your questions or if you have your hands up or anything. So I'm going to request Careers 360 to help me out with that. Okay, great. Let's kick off. For those of you who are planning on studying in the UK or even thinking about going to the UK, you know, just a few things for you to bear in mind. The UK, as you know, has a fantastic legacy of learning, education, and culture. And when you go to the UK to study, you're going to become a part of that. You're going to become a part of that legacy. It is a wonderful country with ancient traditions, a multicultural environment, world-class education, and with the topmost employers of the world kind of being there and recruiting from there. And not to mention that as a student, especially at the undergraduate level, you will be building relationships and friendships for life. Okay. The United Kingdom, I'm sure you all know this, but the UK is basically comprised of 4 countries, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Each country has a huge group of top world-class universities and institutions to study in. It is a modern, forward-looking country, but with a very, very sort of interesting history, and it's a multicultural society which is open, inclusive, and it is one of the safest and most secure countries for you to study in. Here's a, you know, why should you choose the UK? Why should you study in the UK? The UK is welcoming and inclusive. So even in the last 2 years with COVID and with a lot of countries kind of closing borders and things like that, the UK was continuing to welcome students, and especially from India, and making it very easy for students to make that transition from online to offline and to be able to come to the UK and stay there and study there. It has a rich and historical culture and has exceptional academic standards. Some of the oldest and best universities in the world are in the UK. 2 of the world's top 3 universities are actually in the UK. I'm sure you know which ones these are if you do put them in the chat. You know, another 26 universities are in the Times Higher Education's top 200 institutions. It is one of the most trusted and popular study destinations in the entire world. And I think the latest figures are that in 2020, 2021, we had over 82,000 Indian students studying there. And in 2021, we gave out around 90,000 visas. So that's the number of Indian students who go there every year. And the kind of satisfaction rates are pretty high as well. Just, you know, remember that in the UK, to kind of assure the quality of education that you get, there are bodies, the UK government kind of has certain approving authorizing bodies like the QAA, the Quality Assurance Agency, that makes sure that the universities providing the courses are doing so correctly. They have the best quality and the best standards, so that you are you are absolutely getting what you came for and what you paid for. UK universities are actually very well known for their strong links with industry. So you don't just study in a bubble, right? You're not just studying and that's it, and it doesn't have any relation to the outside world. From the get-go, you are studying to be ready for the outside world, to be ready for the working, for your career, basically. The UK is a world leader in technological innovation. Most of the many big multinational companies are actually headquartered there. I'm sure you know those names that you see on the screen: Glaxo, Vodafone, Unilever, BP, Shell, Tesco, Viva, just some of these. Universities and institutions do maintain very strong links with these industries, and the learning is very industry-led. And students always benefit from practical work, workshops, and are very well connected to the most recent practices, recent trends, recent requirements and demands from the industry, right? And that is going to be brought to your classroom, so that when you graduate, you take all those skills with you into your workplace, and hence making you more employable and more attractive to the employer. Some of the ways that they do this is, of course, they bring in industry experts to give you lectures. You get kind of workshops or work experience built into your into your curriculum. And what this does is it basically makes you industry ready. For those of you who are looking more towards science research, there is no better place than the UK. It is one of the world's most trusted and most innovative countries, and at the forefront of science, culture, finance, politics, and more. It has, in terms of the research output, it's pretty staggering, as you can see. UK produces 15% of the world's most highly cited research, given the small size and the number of institutions that it has, and it is ranked at #1 for the impact of its scientific research. It is also home to the Russell Group. I don't know if all of you know about the Russell Group, but it is a group of universities who are sort of specially renowned for their world-leading research. And you may choose to study in a Russell Group university, but even if you don't, you will have access to some of the best minds, best professors. You'll be studying alongside the best students as well, and you will have access to excellent research practices. I think we can all accept and admit that the point of us going abroad to study is to come away with a fantastic career, to become more employable, and to be able to kind of achieve our ambitions, so to speak, that we start out with. And UK education is world renowned, and their graduates are amongst the most employable in the world. So 90% of international students are very satisfied with their UK experience and have been able to progress very quickly into their career. This is also obviously possible because you have the industry practices being brought to the classroom. And UK is a top 5 country for university and industry collaboration. And while you are and there are certain advantages that you have as a student studying there, right? So if you are a student in the UK on a student visa, you can work up to 20 hours a week during course time and 40 hours a week during holidays. So that also helps you gain more experience. Of course, it gives you money and a salary as well. But if you can manage work and study, then it's a great way, for you to do that. And remember, UK courses tend to be a little bit shorter. It's 1 year for masters, 3 years for undergraduate. So most of you here are for undergraduate. So it's around 3 years. Similar to what it is in India, and you graduate and start earning sooner. Okay, so I hope most of you have heard about this, but in the summer of 2021, the UK government launched something called the Graduate Route. What the Graduate Route does is it is a post-study work opportunity. So as a student in the UK, if you successfully complete your degree with a UK university, you can stay on for 2 years to look for work and to work. You don't have to have a job to be able to stay on. You can just be there looking for work and looking for other opportunities. For a PhD, it's 3 years, but if you finished an undergraduate course or a postgraduate course, you can stay on for 2 years to look for work. And I think that's a pretty incredible advantage, especially, if you will be spending a certain amount of money to go there and study there. You also want that international exposure. You want to work with the best. You want to work with the world's best companies and the world's best employers and people. And, this is an opportunity that you don't want to miss. The graduate route allows you to stay on for 2 years after you've finished, after you've successfully completed your degree. We've just sort of started seeing the first batch of graduate route students coming through who have been able to apply for it and are kind of going to stay on. And it's been fairly smooth. You just apply online and you stay on. When you go to study in the UK, of course, you'll be living in the UK, and that is going to sort of make up a huge part of your life, your kind of life in the UK, and that's something you need to prepare for. These are the kind of, approximate money that you are expected to spend. The reason I'm sharing this and the reason this is important for you is to, of course, you have to think of your tuition and what you're going to pay for your course. But you also need to think of what you're going to pay while you're living there, because you have to show these funds when you're applying for your visa. I'll come to visas in a bit. But these I'm not going to sort of, so it's around 800 to 1300 a month to cover your rent. And remember, there are many options of living. You can live on campus, you can live off campus, whatever works for you, whatever environment you want, whatever community you want, whatever sort of independence you want. It would depend on all of those. Of course, do remember that costs do differ quite a lot. So London is, for example, a little more expensive than other parts of the country in the UK. So it really depends on where you stay as well. So the major cities will be more expensive than the smaller ones. I think, this is something you can all look forward to. If you're going to be in the UK, you're going to be able to explore every part of the UK, and it is an absolutely stunning country. But what you can also do is when you are in the UK, you are able to explore Europe because it's literally in your backyard. And, you have the advantage of free travel in Europe with a UK visa. So, and the UK has a fantastic transport system, very well connected by rail, by road. Of course, there are also many airports if you choose to fly. And, these are some expenses, again, that you can keep in mind. It's not a lot, really, if you think about it, and you can, make the most of it. And you can go to the beaches of Dover, or you can go to the Highlands in Scotland, and it's actually quite stunning, and hopefully you make the most of that. Now, coming down to more or less exciting things, but obviously the right things that you need to look at, more moving on from travel to the classroom. UK universities do have one of the most diverse subject offerings in the world. So think of subjects that you may want to study. I guarantee you will find a UK university that offers it. You will be given the support and space that you need. So your study culture, your learning culture in the UK is going to be very, very different from what you're used to in India. It's not going to just be a classroom lecture, where a teacher teaches you and you take notes and you go back and you come back and you give an exam. It's not going to be like that. It's a lot of team working, workshopping, thinking on your own, writing on your own, interpreting things on your own, debating, discussing, disagreeing. That is the kind of learning culture that you have in the UK. And you will be supported infinitely by your world-class professors. But you will also have the option to think on your own and to decide on your own. And that is something that is appreciated a lot in the UK. So you will receive prestigious education that is built obviously on historical foundations, but also very modern forward thinking. For undergraduate, you can go for a bachelor's full-time or a bachelor's part-time. And obviously you can also go for shorter courses such as the foundation degree, diploma, HND, so higher national diploma, HNC, higher national certificate kind of courses. Remember, the shorter courses have different advantages and disadvantages than a full degree in that sense. In a full degree, you can go for the graduate route, and the shorter degrees you typically cannot. The shorter degrees like foundation is actually great for you to kind of transition to a major degree. So let's say, here's an example. I don't know if you want to study something in science, but you didn't have a subject which you should have had in school. You can do like a quick foundation degree, get that subject's knowledge, and get that kind of information that you need, and that knowledge you need, and the learning you need, and then move on to the full-time academic course. When you apply to study in the UK, there are two ways you can do it. One, and the most popular one, is going through UCAS. Okay, so University Colleges Admission Service. Universities and Colleges Admission Service. And UCAS is basically, it's a portal that aggregates all your applications and sends them to the UK universities. It's fairly cheap for you to do it. I think they charge a very nominal fee, around £26 for multiple choice. It's going to be less than £30, which isn't much. And you will basically have access to 50,000 undergraduate courses across all the UK universities and institutions and schools, etc. And you can decide where you want to basically go. I will come back to UCAS a little bit more, but this is what you need to keep in mind if you are seriously thinking about applying. Okay, so if you've decided to go to the UK, you do need to do some work and some research. You need to decide on a course. What that means is you need to go and see which universities you would like to study in and what course you want to do. Does that suit your needs? Is it what you want to learn? Is the way of learning what you want to do? All the UK universities share these in great detail, exactly what modules you will learn, what are the tests that you will do, what are the workshops you do, what kind of theses do you have to write. And you can take all of that into account, and then you can decide what you want to study and where you want to apply. So after that, you need to register on UCAS, you need to apply. A lot of you will go to schools which already have a UCAS account, and the school kind of sends those applications. That's absolutely fine too. There are also, and I should mention this, many UK universities who accept applications separately and independently from UCAS, but UCAS is generally the kind of accepted norm and more convenient even for you. You will need to check that you have funding, right? So are you going to fund it yourself? Your parents are going to fund it. Do you need to then, if you don't have the funds, do you need to apply for a scholarship? Once you get the scholarship or you don't, in which case you may need to get a bank loan. So you need to make sure you have the funding. This is obviously very important. And UK universities, even though you'll be going for a 3-year course, potentially, you will need to show funds for the first year. Okay, but the first year is what you need to show funds and a plan for the next 2 years, kind of a thing. So the visa authorities are going to kind of check that you are going to be able to pay for the offer for all 3 years, but the money you need to show in your account is for year 1. So you will need to organize that funding. You will have to apply for a visa. Typically, this takes around 4 to 6 weeks, working weeks. So keep that time in hand. You want to be there when your course starts and when things start. So don't be late with your visa. Prepare for your stay. Make sure your accommodation is booked, your pickup is booked. You need to land in enough time to get your bank documents done, to pick up your BRP, your biometric resident permit. So, there are a few things to think about. But the first thing and the most important thing is you need to get that seat. You need to get that place in the university of your choice. And, after that, you can prepare for arriving in the UK. A question I get a lot is, how do I know which is the right university for me? And what I tell students is, you're the only one who will know really which one is the right university for you. We can help you with some tips that can set you off, can kind of get you started. So if you know what subject you want to study and what course you want to study, you can check out some of the ranking tables, right? So Guardian has a ranking table, THE have a ranking table, QS, these are all ranking tables that you can see. And you can decide that, okay, I'm going to apply to the top 10 or, to the top 20, or I'm going to look through the top 10, top 20 and see what's possible for me. Remember, UCAS, you are limited in the number of choices you can make, so you will have to whittle them down to a kind of a short list. But how do you choose a university? You can sort of decide whether you want to study in London, do you want to study in a big city, you want to study somewhere small, you want a big university experience, you want a small university experience. And you may also choose to study in a university which is sort of better known for a certain subject than overall. Okay, so there are universities who may not rank very highly overall, but let's say rank in the top 5 in a particular subject. So for example, Loughborough is a university specializes in sports, sports study. So, that sort of thing. So you need to think about that. You may want to look at the links with industry. that it has? What kind of internship opportunities do you get? Do you get people coming in from the industry to give you lectures? Are you going to meet alumni who kind of work in the industry? Think about those things and think about whether you have any international opportunities with that. Do you get to do an exchange course somewhere or not? A lot of universities will list all of them. All the universities will list it all out on their website. You also need to make sure that the requirements that the university has from you to study that subject, you have that. So they will have certain cutoffs, right? And UK universities are very, very well versed in the Indian academic education system. So they will have cutoffs for you for ICSE, CBSE, sorry, ISC, CBSE. There will obviously be IB, there will be Cambridge, A levels as well. So you will need to see whichever exam you are going to be giving to pass out of school, and make sure that you have those cutoffs. So if a university says you need an overall cutoff of 85% for CBSE, you need to make sure you have that 85%. Otherwise, you will probably not get through. You also need to be able to make a good case of your personal interest, because in UK universities, it's not just about your academic background, it's about you as a person, and you as a kind of a, you know, a person who's going to come and form thought and formulate arguments and kind of work with everybody, right? So what are your personal interests? What motivates you? Look at the job opportunities and the employability history of that course for that university and the recognition of qualification. But also remember one thing, you will need to write a statement of purpose, and you need to nail that. You really, really need to do that very well, because that basically answers the question why you should be chosen to study there. And remember, you're not just competing against other Indians, you're competing against the best in the world. So you need to get your application in early, and you need to work hard on it. Here's, you know, a few tips to get you started. If you also want to know where you should study and you're a little overwhelmed, I think this process can be quite overwhelming. There are so many universities that are all so good, you know, there's good ranking and there's great facilities. How do you choose? Start somewhere, go to our website, Study UK website, and go to the Find a University tab, and then you can search based on your subject or your level or where you want to go. There are more resources on the Study UK website that I hope you'll be able to check out. You can choose the university, you can find the right courses, how to apply, you know, scholarships, of course. I'm sure many of you will be interested in that. Accommodation, how you should live, you know, what are your options, the kind of money and costs and expenses that you expect, health and safety. I think that's, we can all accept that's become very important for us. Want to make sure that it's all in order, and practical living tips as well. You'll also be able to interact with other students and alumni who have passed on before you, who can give you advice. And remember, the British Council organizes a lot of events in the country, in India, across cities. And now that, you know, we're back to face-to-face, we're going to be in your cities physically, but we're also going to continue to engage you online. So make sure you come and attend those programs where you can meet UK universities face-to-face or online face-to-face and ask your questions directly. Okay, and so back to UCAS. Most undergraduate applications are made through UCAS. You will need to give your personal statement. I spoke about this a minute ago. Your written references, you need about 2 to 3 references from your teachers, your principal, those who have kind of, you know, who can speak knowledgeably about you as a person and your skills and what you bring to the table. You will probably have an interview with the university, so keep that in mind. You may also have an interview with the visa officials, but that's not, I mean, it's not a guarantee. You may or may not. You will receive offers, you know, subject to meeting certain conditions. So there are 2 kinds of offers that are given: conditional and unconditional. So conditional is when you still have to show your IELTS or your English language test marks, or you have to still finish your, you know, your ISC or your CBSE results are yet to come out, you know, and then once they see your final score, they'll make it unconditional. Unconditional is basically your CAS letter. You're good to go. You know, you can go and apply for your visa. So look at this, please. I can't, sorry. Sorry. look at these deadlines. This is important for you to look at. Deadlines are very, very important for undergraduate because, it's the system will close. You won't be able to go beyond it. So keep these in mind and follow them as much as you can. Work as early as you can, but just also know and don't panic that if things are running late for you, something's gone wrong, you have a late deadline for 30th June. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this session with you now, so that for those of you who still don't have a place in a UK university, you still have a very good chance of getting in. And remember, the dates and requirements are slightly different for Oxford, Cambridge, for medicine, vet medicine, etc. And if you are planning to go to these places, to Oxford, Cambridge, you need to start maybe working now on your application so you can make the 15th October deadline. These are some additional requirements that may be required. It's not always required. Oxford, Cambridge, for example, sometimes insist on A-level scores, which you may have to take separately, but most UK universities happily accept ICSE, CBSE scores. If you have done an IB, that's fine too. They will accept that happily. Some professional degrees require entrance exams. Otherwise, for any other kind of regular subject like business, engineering, social studies, whatever, you don't need any separate exam. It's only your kind of school passing, your final school scores, that your final board exam scores that matter. But if you are studying medicine, for example, you may have to sit for the BMAT, UK CAT. For law, you may have to sit for the LNAT. But then again, I say may because not all UK universities require it. So check the website. Remember, these are the kind of conditions where conditional offers, where you can hold 2 offers in one, at a time. Unconditional offer, you can only hold 1 at a time. And if you have been rejected, you can go into clearing, which gives you more options to apply. And of course, you can withdraw. Coming to visas, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this unless, I'm just, it's not the most important thing for you right now. Right now for you, it's about applying, but you will have to apply for your visas. I think the visa application fee literally changed a couple of days ago. I'm sorry, I haven't updated on the website. I think it's £363 now. So just remember that it's not 348, it's £363 to apply for a student visa. And the student route is going basically allows you to apply as early as 6 months prior to your start. Okay, so remember to do, apply as fast as you can, and it will allow you to study and live in the UK. You can visit these websites to obviously find out more about, the type of visa you need to apply, by when you need to do it, etc. With the visa, just remember early, as early as you can, get all your documents in order, get everything sort of ready, and then you're good to go. I'm not going to go into details, but just remember that, these are the basic things you need. You need your CAS letter, which is your kind of unconditional offer letter from the UK university. You need your funds in place. And if you have those 2 things in place, you can basically go and apply for your visa. Once you get your visa, you are good to go to the UK, and you will get a small vignette on your passport. And then you go to the UK and you get your PRP, which is your student resident permit. This is just ballpark figures for you to have an idea about how much you'll be spending every year on your fees. This is kind of what it looks like. It obviously depends on where you are going, what you are studying, etc. So do your research when you're shortlisting your institutions, but these are the kind of costs you are expected to incur on tuition. Many of you will be interested in scholarships. Now, for undergraduate scholarships, your best bet are the UK university scholarships. So UK universities themselves give out a lot of scholarships, and many scholarships will be specifically for Indian students, for example. I get a question often that, are these merit-based? Are these needs-based? They can be both. Some scholarships are given out based on how good a student you are or how strong your application is, and some are given out on what your financial situation is. Also, not many scholarships you'll be considered for automatically when you apply, but others you may have to apply separately. So just look at these things, go to our website and check these out. But there are scholarships at the undergraduate level, which are given out by the UK universities. In general, I think there are about 13 million pounds worth of scholarships that are given out every year by UK universities. So, hopefully you'll have enough. UK is one of the safest countries for you to study in. I'm sure you know this, that in the last 2 years during COVID, the UK actually handled it really well. The borders were open for students right through. Students were able to come in and go out. The government and the UK universities were made kind of student welfare their priority. And there were guidelines in place, strict kind of TORs in place to make sure students were safe. So they were in quarantine, being given food, etc. And we're really kind of happy that students were able to kind of make the most of their experience in the UK whilst being safe and cared for. You can obviously look at that again. Remember something, when you apply to study in the UK and when you apply for your visa, you will be paying something called a health surcharge. It's around £470 now. That gives you free access to all health services under the NHS in the UK, except eyes and teeth. Those are the kind of two things that the NHS typically does not cover, and of course any kind of optional healthcare, but any other health care is guaranteed to you because of the health surcharge you pay under the NHS. And most of you will know that the NHS is one of the best healthcare systems in the world, and you will have full access to it. Like any other UK citizen, you get the same rights. Coming back to slightly more fun stuff, life in the UK can be really, really exciting. No matter where you live, even if you live in a small city, there's going to be a kind of, a thriving social scene. There are pubs and restaurants and parks and places to go to. You're going to have a fantastic time. Hopefully you're going to make friends from across the world. Remember, the UK can cater to almost all kinds of Indian tastes and Indian preferences. You will meet a lot of Indians there, so you will feel comfortable. You will kind of find your tribe. But equally, if you want to step out of that tribe and you want to meet students from anywhere in the world, you can do that as well. You will find vegetarian food, vegan food, halal food, kosher food. Anything you need, it is very easily available. Indian spices, Indian food, again, very, very easily available. Most of you know this, that the UK's national food is chicken tikka masala. It's not something we know, we exactly know what it is in India, but they love it there. So they are very, very kind of familiar with Indian culture and Indian food. So you will feel at home with the option to kind of have an international exposure if you want to. And I want to thank you for listening. I don't know if you have any questions. I'm going to stop sharing, but I'm happy to do some questions now.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Atreyi. It was indeed a wonderful presentation. All the students who have any questions to ask, please raise your hand using the reaction button and we'll give you all a chance to ask your questions. Till then, Atreyi, I have a few questions to ask on behalf of the students, if you could help me resolve. So when a student goes to study to the UK, is on-campus accommodation a mandate by any of the universities? And roughly, what percentage of universities would offer on-campus accommodation? Atreyi is on mute. And Dipandita, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. And Atreyi, ma'am,
yeah, I've been allowed to unmute. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't able to unmute earlier. So no, on campus is not a mandate. You have options to study on campus or off campus, depending on what your budgets are, what kind of experience you want. If you want that kind of college campus experience and, going to your college food hall and sort of living that student life, you can stay on campus. If you want to live more independently and you have friends and you want to get your own place together, you can do that as well. In terms of percentage, I mean, pretty much most UK universities will have on-campus accommodation options. So
Okay.
that shouldn't be an option, shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. And what would be economically more feasible? Like
It really depends. I mean, it's not something I would like to kind of say go for on campus and don't go for off campus. It depends on the city that you live in and the deals you get. Just know that you have all options and you should decide, which one works for you, because sometimes off campus can be cheaper because you may choose to live in a certain part of the city, which is, cheaper for you, and you may split it with more friends and it turns out cheaper for you. Sometimes on campus can be cheaper if you're living in a more expensive city. So just make sure you have all your options in front of you when you make the right decision. Don't only base it on finances, but the experience you want and the people you're going to be around as well.
Okay. Then what are the type of part-time jobs that international students usually take up?
So international students in the UK, as I said, you can work for 20 hours a week during course time, 40 hours during holidays. You can basically do anything. You can work in that. So there are jobs that you can do on campus, like working in the library, working with the student offices and things like that. You can also work off campus. You can work in a shop. You can work in a restaurant. You can work in a museum. You can do the kind of, quick, small jobs that allow you to make some money, but also get some experience, meet people, become more part of their culture, etc.
All right. Okay. And one follow-up question to this. When is it typically that an international student can start doing a part-time job once he goes to the UK?
Your visa allows it as soon as you are there, so but I will say something. I think, okay, if this is an undergraduate crowd, so you're going to be there for 3 years, that's fine. Just make sure you're able to do it. It's very intense studying there. You will have a lot of work to do. You will have a lot of meetings and a lot of classes, and it is fairly intense. So make sure that you can handle working alongside studying. So I would always suggest, there is, like, technically you can start working as soon as you're there, right? As soon as you get something to do, you get a job, you're free to start. But take some time to see if you're able to handle the pressures, if you're able to kind of manage your workload, etc. So give it about six months before you start looking and doing something. But technically you can, because your visa allows it.
All right. Thanks, Atri. That answers me. So we'll take a question from Venkat Sai as Hemant. We have a few hands raised. Dipanita, can you please unmute?
Yeah, hello. First of all, thank you for giving me the permission to unmute. And also, I have two questions basically. So the number one is, what is the timeline for applying to these universities? So for example, if I'm applying to the top universities in UK, say for example, Imperial College London or Oxford or Cambridge, what is the timeline? Do I apply while in my 12th grade or after finishing, do I apply? And the second question is, do these universities accept SAT scores? And if they do, what is the weightage for that?
Okay. Thank you for your question. So your timelines basically, okay, now see, Oxford, Cambridge they have a different timeline. Okay, their timeline is 15th October on UCAS. You need to register yourself on UCAS and see what your timelines are for submitting, let's say, your documents, your predicted scores. Now, you will have to apply while you are in your class 12. In fact, soon after you start your class 12. So if you have started class 12, I guess now is when your term starts. You should be starting your application soon, because by the time you finished your class 12s and you've got your board exam results, you're ready to go. Okay, so if you think about it, if you started your class 12 now, you will finish your class 12s in 2023, April, May. You will finish your boards. That's when, by then, you know where you're going. You've got your acceptance, okay? And then you apply for your visa, etc. Then your board results come out around June. okay, May or June, hopefully June, July latest. And that gives you your final scores. So your predicted scores will get you that seat in the university. And then with your final scores, it will be kind of confirmed. And then you're good to travel in September, October. So that is your timeline. When you register on UCAS gives you very clear deadlines. Okay, so give us your predicted scores by this date, give us your references by that date, give us your SOP by this date. You need to follow that to the T. If you follow that to the T, you're fine, and you'll be able to, get all that done. So just remember to do that. Imperial is not a 15th October deadline, but it is one of the best, one of the most competitive. So it will probably have a deadline of 15 January like the rest. So just I would suggest with an Imperial or Bath kind of university, get your application in as fast as you can because it's super, super competitive. But yeah, basically follow the timelines on UCAS. Definitely do not wait to finish your 12s because then you have to waste a year in your 12th year. Did I answer all the questions? Was there any other question?
All right, so we'll take the next.
Hello, I actually have another question. Thank you for answering this one. I have another one. So this question is related to the academics. So when I'm applying to these universities and I have my SAT scores.
Oh yeah, SAT.
And
Yeah. I forgot that one. Sorry, you asked about your SATs. UK universities don't require SAT scores. That's for the US. They don't need it. They don't demand it. It's not going to be particularly considered. If you have it because you're also applying to the US and it's a score you have, you can share it, but it's not going to make a difference because it's not something they consider. It's basically going to be your 12 scores and the rest of your applications, SOP, etc.
All right, so we'll move on to the next. Thanks, Atri. Shivam, can you please ask your question? Can you please unmute him, Dipandita?
Shivam, can you please unmute yourself? Ma'am, he's not unmuting. Can we move on?
We'll move on to Kanak.
Yeah.
Is IELTS like important for it, or without giving IELTS you can like apply for admission?
Atri?
Sorry, there was an issue with, I heard your question. So for IELTS or any other English language test, the one who decides whether you need it or not is the UK university. Okay, so if a UK university is happy with your application and is convinced that you don't need a separate English language test, then you don't need it. And in that case, the visa application does not require it either. But if a UK university requires it from you and says that, we need this score on the IELTS for you, then you do need to sit the IELTS and you do need to get that score to get through. If the UK university says you need the IELTS, your visa application will require that IELTS score. And the visa people will basically look for that IELTS. If the university says no IELTS needed, the visa people won't need it. So it depends. It depends on what the university decides after seeing your application. In many cases, they are convinced that you don't need the IELTS. They might do a verbal interview with you. They might, check the credentials of your education and decide that you don't need it, which is fine. But if they do need it and they need a minimum score, then you will need to give it. Yeah. And it's also fine if you don't have your IELTS score when you're applying in the beginning. They will ask you for it. So you probably get a conditional offer and they'll say, you have got a place in this course, but we need you to get let's say a 7.5 in your IELTS. And after that, we'll make it an unconditional offer. So just, remember that it's not mandatory in the beginning, but if the university wants it, you just have to do it. Okay. Next question.
We'll take the next question from Naveen.
Ma'am, is it audible?
Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, my question is, how much percentage should we score in our board to apply the UK universities like Cambridge and Oxford and etc. And how much should we score in English? This is my question.
Okay. It depends on the course that you're studying. Okay, Naveen. So if you go to the Oxford or Cambridge website, they will tell you very clearly for which courses you need what is your cutoff. Oxford, Cambridge typically require A levels, so you may have to set that separately. It's like a different test that you give and you get the scores that they want. In general, if it's Oxford, Cambridge, you have to score very high. These are obviously the best universities in the world, extremely competitive, and they are looking for academic kind of excellence. So you will need to score very, very high, the equivalent of your 90s in, let's say, ICSE, CBSE, but you will need to probably set your A levels. But the cutoff that you have, the academic requirements of getting into a particular course is outlined by the university on their website. Okay, so when you're doing your research, make sure you kind of go into the website and use, and they'll say it very clearly. If you're studying physics, can I ask what subject you want to go for?
Ma'am, I'm going to take engineering. Basically.
Engineering. So they'll say engineering, these are, this is your overall cutoff that we need, 85%, 87%. There could be universities who require 75%. So yeah, that's a bit of research you'll need to do. But just remember, Oxford, Cambridge is very, very, very competitive. So those cutoffs would be high. Next question.
Next question from Bhaskar, please.
Ma'am, he's not unmuting. Can you move on?
Okay. Yeah, Krishna.
Hello.
Hi, Krishna.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening. Good afternoon, please. My question is, I joined this webinar on in midway, so I didn't hear the preliminary part of this webinar. My question is like in India, if you take, for example, in India, there are different kind of universities are there, like IIT, NIT, IISc, and a lot of other Indian Ministry of Education supported universities like IISR and BHU, JNU, like that. And these are also government universities. It's coming in a hierarchically quality level, correct? And others like private universities like SRM, VIT, so on, so on, like that. Can you please categorize what are the different kind of universities in UK? For example, here, if you go into the IIT or IISc, we must attend the JEE Advanced, JEE Main, and get into minimum 99% of the marks. Then only we can get. But whereas if you want to go for VIT, that they are conducting their own tests. If you get through, then we can get the seat. Is there any categories? Can you please explain the universities and kind of admission process in UK, please, comparing to these our Indian education systems, like what I said?
You can't compare it with the Indian system, with the Indian university system, because it's very, very different. It isn't at all like ours. Okay, so in the UK, you have universities that are recognized by the UK government and which can create, they can kind of develop their own curriculum. They can, decide how they want to teach and what they want to do. So they are all autonomous, but they are recognized and quality assured by the government, which kind of allows them to, take in international students or not. So there's something called the Quality Assurance Agency. So they have to be approved by certain agencies, by certain government agencies, to be able to do their courses, which is what is actually so fantastic about the UK university, that you can't, get away without doing the best and kind of, making sure you fulfill all your promises and your objectives. There are no kind of categories in that sense. There is the Russell Group, which I mentioned, of course, that's a research, those are the kind of research intensive universities. That's a kind of a body of universities, but it isn't like we have it here. You know, it's not like government universities and private universities. These are all kind of private universities, which are recognized entirely by the government and approved by the government to be able to provide education to international students and to domestic students. The way you may want to choose universities is by looking at their rankings. You can look at the global rankings or the UK rankings and decide which university fits your requirements best. You will have to, of course, the bare minimum, you need to make sure that it is kind of, recognized by the government and has the university status. And that's something you see on the UK government website. But any of the regular universities that we talk about, right, like the ones that were mentioned earlier, Imperial, Oxford, Cambridge, Manchester, Liverpool, whatever, Bath, all of these are UK government recognized, and you are kind of safe and you're perfectly fine to apply to them. When you're applying, you just need to make sure it is recognized by the UK government, and it is, it is a kind of a tier 4 sponsored institution. What that means is that it can provide education to international students, and the rest of it is basically rankings, and whether it is a top ranked or a middle ranked, and whether it is top ranked in its subject or not. But it's very difficult to compare with the Indian system in that sense.
So one more question, please. Here,
Krishna, may I please request you to drop your question in the chat box, and we'll get back to you over email. We have a couple of more questions in limited time. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we take the next question from Fiza, please?
Please unmute yourself. Ma'am, I think she has some issues. Can we move ahead?
Yash?
I wanted to know about the methods by which I can become a research fellow at that particular university.
By how you can become a research fellow? Okay,
Yes,
so you will need to again do some research to see where you can go and which universities are doing the kind of research that you want to do. The best thing about actually, I think, applying to the UK is that the websites are very, very informative, completely updated, and is the best way for you to go about your applications and your intentions. So if you have an idea about, I'm sure you do, you know what you want to do your research in. If you have no idea on the UK universities that you should go to, do a subject-wise filtering on our website or on a ranking site, okay, and see which universities offer courses in that subject, and then they will typically have research in those subjects, and then look for the research fellow openings. You can't apply for a research fellow position through UCAS or something like that. It'll have to be a separate application to the university directly. So go on the website and see if there are research fellow openings for your subject and your research kind of theme and topic, and then you take it from there. It's much more flexible in terms of timings and deadlines, right? You'll have to start a conversation with a potential supervisor and, see whether there's funding available. Do you want to study this? Do you want to do that? Do your research, objectives align, etc. So that's how you need to go about it, Yash.
All right. Can we please take the next question from Thakur Shruti Singh?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Shruti, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. What are the difference between Indian universities and UK universities?
The differences in what way do you mean differences?
Between Indian universities and UK universities.
What kind of differences are you talking about?
What kind of?
UK universities are
Yeah.
universities in the UK who offer subjects across a variety of themes.
According to you, ma'am.
I don't understand the question, to be honest
He
with
means
you.
to ask, Shruti Atri means to ask, like, you are
What's
asking between different, you are asking for differences between Indian and UK universities on the basis of what? On the basis of study pattern, recognition.
basis, ma'am, facilities and study.
Facilities and study. Okay, so let me try to answer this. So UK universities and Indian universities are similar in the sense that they offer the same degrees. Okay, so there are bachelor's degrees that you can get in the UK and master's degrees. In terms of facilities, I don't know about differences because in India you have a very wide range of universities here who offer different varieties of kind of facilities. In the UK, it's a lot more standardized because it is entirely government approved, right? So you kind of have world-class facilities in most UK universities for academic, research, learning, classroom, everything. So you will have very good pastoral care, you will have very good learning environment, you will have kind of the top laboratories and top learning equipment, etc. So your experience will be one of the best in the world in the UK in that sense. And in India, of course, you have similar, you have excellent facilities here as well. You have great infrastructure here as well, and it's a wide variety of things. And in that sense, in the UK, it depends on the course you want to study and what you want to do, but you can apply, you can go for a bachelor's, you can go for a master's, you can work while you study there. As an international student, you will have access to the best kind of learning facilities and infrastructure, and you'll be able to stay on after you finish your degree for 2 years to work if you would like to do that. You don't have to, but you have the option to.
Thanks, Atri. We'll
Next question.
From Akshat.
Good evening, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sorry.
Hi, Akshat. Good afternoon.
Ma'am, actually, basically, currently I'm in class 10th, and I'm looking forward for UK universities, and I want to get a bachelor's in computer science. So for which exam should I prepare from now? Can you?
Akshat, you are, it's great that you're thinking about it from now. You should, because, it's a big step that you're going to take. You don't have to sit for any separate exam for the UK to do computer science. Okay, I think what you should do now is kind of focus on your boards for 12th. I know you're in 10 and you'll have to focus on your 10th board, and that's important. You should do that. But the main exam that's going to matter for you are your class 12 boards. And on the basis of those scores and marks, you're going to be able to, kind of apply to a UK university and get the cutoff and get a seat at a course that you want in the UK. In the meanwhile, what you can do is you can start doing your research on where you want to apply. Because remember, like I said, on UCAS, you can't apply for like 20, universities if you want to. You can do that in your postgraduate, but you can't do that in your undergraduate. You have limited options. Okay, you can apply for around 5 or 6 universities. So what would be really helpful if you sort of start doing your research on where you want to go, make a long list of universities you want to go to, then make a short list, and see what their requirements are. Most of the requirements will be around your final school exam scores. Okay, what you get in your ICSE or CBSE or A levels or IB or whatever. And you need to work towards those scores. Okay, and you need to make sure you have those requirements in place. But apart from that, for the UK, you need a well-rounded application. Yes, they are looking for academic merit, absolutely, but there is much more that they are looking for. You will never just be judged on your academic merit. You will be judged on your extracurriculars, on you as a person, as a thinker, on your statement of purpose, on your references, what do you bring to the table, as a person, etc. So you need to think about all of those things. And that's how you kind of prepare. You've started early, but that's a good thing. Start doing your research. You won't have any separate exams to give for computer science, but you will need to do well in your boards, but also work on your overall application.
Thanks, Atri. We'll just take one more question. We see a hand raised since quite some time. Yashaswini Koil, if we can unmute her.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I would like to ask that does a medical student has to like give a separate or an extra exam, or do we need after 12, or do we need a NEET course for like enrolling in MBBS course in UK universities?
So for medical, there are some entrance exams like BMAT, UK CAT, etc. So in the UK, you don't need entrance exams for most courses. You only need them for law, medicine, and business management for a master. So it's not something you need to worry about here. But for medical, there are some entrance exams you may need to give. I'm again going to say may. It's BMAT, UK CAT. These are entrance tests for medical exams that some universities need. Not every university is also going to ask for it, but many and most of them will. So again, decide where you want to go, look at their requirements. If they need you to take these tests, then you have to sit these tests, and you can sit them in India, right? There are, you can absolutely, they are all conducted here as well for Indian students, so you can do that here. And if there are universities that you are applying to who require that score, then you'll have to give it. If they don't, then they will probably judge you on the basis of your boards and things like that, or they might take a separate test of their own. So it really, again, depends on the universities you apply to. But yes, there are entrance exams you may need to take. So keep that in mind.
All right. So, Atri, do we have the time for one more question? Because I think Fiza.
Yeah.
Fiza, can you please quickly ask your question?
I think she has a mic problem.
Fiza, you can probably write to us or to the British Council, and we will get back to you with your answer. There seems to be some issue. All right. Thank you so much, Atri, for sparing your time and joining us. It has indeed been a pleasure to have you. The session was immensely beneficial, informative, and fruitful. Thank you so much. All the students who joined in, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write to Careers 360 or British Council, and we will get back to you with all your answers. We have a series of webinars lined up for you. Please do go to our website and stay tuned for information about our upcoming webinars. We'd love to have you for them. So yeah, all the best to everybody, and thank you so much once again. Thanks, Atri.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
We'll close this.